humans at the heart. When I heard this topic, it just felt, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. That's in a way what life is about, but also light festivals. So how can we put humans at the heart? Because we live in this challenging time where technology is growing exponentially, and how and where do we as humans stay? Well, with DUNDU, I think we created a concept that showcased it in a very beautiful way, that the human power and especially the human connection is something really unique and something we won't want to miss. And a person that also said something very beautiful in this technological changing times is the Dalai Lama. He said, while everything is changing so quickly, in order to jump out of our head back into our heart, we have to re-educate our heart. And I think the performing arts can really help in this context to feel this sense of humanity in a way. From my journey, how did I get into the arts? How did I get into the performing arts? I used to play a lot of music, but the transformative or the transformational journey for me really began in Mexico. I was working in a social project from Cirque du Soleil, where we were teaching kids how to juggle, how to do circus, some clown skills, and that really opened up my mind that the arts is really there to transform people, to show them what they can do. And it was not about creating the next big circus artist, but it was rather to teach them self-esteem, teach them the power of community. After this inspirational year in Mexico, I was pursuing a serious career, but I couldn't let go of the clown, of the juggling, And so a friend of mine, my best juggling friend, drew this picture. It's a balancing act between the arts and business, but now I don't even see it as a balancing act. It's the exciting times that we live in. It's the possibility to create a fusion. So I call it create your own fusion. And at DUNDU, that's the place where this fusion between, more or less a bridge can really happen. So what is DUNDU? What does it mean? DUNDU literally means do und du. It's a German acronym for you and you, two et two. And I think that's also more than anything else, not just the name of the puppets, but rather our vivid philosophy that we carry around the globe. Do und du, that's all of us together. And I think in this way, as the puppet has no gender, no face, it's really the ultimate power is really to create this projection canvas where people can fill this open space with their imagination. It's, in a way, there is some technological part in it. Obviously, there is light, but it's human-powered. So no motorization, but it's just these 5 persons finding one common breath on the puppet, and together with the music, creating a movement, creating a momentum. And I think also motion and emotion, both words, they are connected. So in order to get people emotionally connected, you have to bring them in motion, and that's what these giants of light create in a very beautiful way. How does this all start? So on the left hand you see Tobias Husemann, the creator of DUNDU, and his founding partner Stefan Charisius. Tobias was coming home from an inspirational journey in Israel where he created a giant Elvis puppet. Feeling the sensation in the streets of Jerusalem, also a place pretty particular, also with a social situation, he felt that puppetry, and especially giant puppetry, can contribute to something bigger, to a sense of connection. And Stefan was coming home from another journey. He was in West Africa, where he got to know the kora, a West African harp instrument that creates a very spherical sound. And they both went to the same school, so they got together and said, hey, let's create this together. And Tobias with the idea of, okay, the giant Elvis puppet worked, but how could this concept even be wider, be more open? So he, in the end, created an empty canvas. He was also doing some masks before, so first of all he thought that could be the skeleton, and afterwards he could put on a different mask. But then once he saw the final result, he thought, hey, that's it. There's nothing stronger than tickling the imagination and the ideas of the audience to co-create in a way. And so from there on, 2016, we formed, or we acclaimed our new mission statement as sharing the light. But light not just in the sense of the performance, but more also light as somehow this wisdom of people getting together to move something bigger than themselves. Because ultimately, I think that's part of the secret, that's part of our philosophy, but that's what people really sense. There is a yearning for connection, a yearning for feeling that we as human beings, we have to create something together. And I think all of our journeys began in this moment where your mom and your dad came together and co-created. I think that's into our DNA, and that's something that technology will not so quickly gain us onto or compete with us. So from the performances that we do, as the concept is so open, it's a wide variety from circus shows. We also do a lot of corporate shows. In the end, like sometimes I call DUNDU the Robin Hood of the performing arts, because in the end, to enable all these social initiatives that we want to do to grow further, and without like governmental funding, it's a good way to kind of like shift these funds to these areas where we want to grow further, where we want to invest in. And also in this context, I think we get in touch with what's happening technological-wise, and so that's interesting. I think definitely light festivals are our favorites, because light festivals create these gigantic playing grounds for us. The performances are partly choreographed, but in a way, it's a lot of improvisation as well. So it's the creation with the audience, with what's going on in the environment, with the music. And so light festivals, and looking back, 2014 at Lyon, our first time in Lyon, it was just like a gigantic guerrilla tour through the city, exploring, and somehow like DUNDU as the giant spectator that was discovering these different places. And I call it sometimes the extended arm of the spectator. So he does what the people are thinking, and that's really interesting, that this is this call and response in puppetry, that the puppet does something, and then actually in the break, when a puppet is not doing something, the audience can reflect, and the mirror neurons are activated, and that's what we love so much about puppetry. I was talking a lot about these mega trends, 3D, there's robotics coming in, and everything is growing exponentially. But I think there's, beyond all these mega trends, there's a mega need for togetherness. And that's what I see at the core of our performances, to bond the audience in the spirit that the puppet creates, in this aura that the puppet can create when 5 persons focus on the baby DUNDU on something smaller, but on the giant DUNDU on something bigger than themselves. I think that's the spirit that we want to transmit to our audiences. And on these journeys, we realized that art changes people, and then people change the world. And currently, I think the world is changing at a quick pace, but also like people are on the street, and we've heard a lot about the parades that are going on at the moment. But on the other hand, there are also like a lot of demonstrations against government, but also sometimes for something. And I think the beauty is kind of to change this, that we don't go on the streets against something, but rather for something, for this bigger level of connection, for humanity. And I don't want to put this too much like onto a political playing ground, but I think if we create experiences where human beings come together where we can create this level of connection, I think that might also help us to jump out of the head into our hearts and feel this bigger connection. I think that's what all these light festivals can create, because it's something easy, it's something accessible, and everybody can relate to it. And then I think like once we feel this emotional connection, all these other problems and challenges might be overcome, but together. The experiences, right now I'd like to take you on a few of our journeys around the globe. That's one of the biggest gifts of our work, that we can work all over the world. The puppets, they don't use any language, so it's something like an intercultural traveler, a representative of humanity. And CL, that means probably Chile. So our invitation to Santiago Mil was also a very inspiring tour of almost 2 weeks. Santiago Mil literally means, in a way, theater for everybody, because a 1,000 pesos means that everybody can afford it. And we went from a parade in the city center, but also to the poorest part. And I think that's also what Jean-François was mentioning. It's important to bring the arts to people that would not have the chance to see it otherwise. So for me, the best performance during this trip was in a very poor part of Santiago, where actually we also invited another band to join in, because normally the rough outline of the performance was a 20-minute theatrical performance, and then a so-called pasacalle, so a parade. And in Chile, the people really, they want to participate. So like somehow like they try to line up them, but then like once the giants were on the street, they were just like with them dancing. So that was really special about that. And on this date, in this poor part of Santiago, during lunchtime, we met a street performance band. It was a brass band with some like traditional Latin beats, and so we asked them to join the parade. And that's really the momentum that we want to create, because I think Dundu comes with his music, with his spirit, but the ultimate goal is actually achieved when this is fused with another music, with another spirit, and during this performance, what was actually happening, that a choir of the audience was forming around Dundu, and so they were singing this Latin songs, and we really felt that's what it's supposed to be. We come with something, we open up the heart, but then we create this dynamic, and that's really when the real magic happens for me. From Chile to Tokyo, totally different setting in a way. The audience was super appreciative, but very shy to interact. Obviously, all the cell phones were out, but it was very minutiously planned. So at 9:38, you have to be there. And so this one then creates a different spirit. I think what's a big chance with Dundu is that we can discover and also explore different cultures, and the Asian culture is very open to all kinds of artistic explorations. But on the other hand, we experienced that this was, for Dundu at least, a very defined playing ground. And I think for Dundu sometimes he uses the freedom that art is granting to someone like get out of his comfort zone into like the learning zone. And so Tokyo was also a very interesting experience for us then. Tahrir Square was not really a light festival, but I think it's at the core what we want to create. It was the 1st of January 2013, in between both revolutions, and we had a booking in the south of Egypt, but we decided we also want to, on the one hand, see, but also contribute something. What can we contribute as artists? In the end, what we did was a guerrilla walk from a neighboring square towards Tahrir Square, and as you can see on the picture, it created this moment of togetherness, because people were somehow, no matter what God you believe in, no matter what party you belong to, it's a moment of connection. And that's so important in times when we can't solve problems and can't see each other into the eyes, that we create a moment where we feel this deeper connection that we all hold inside. Another cultural adventure is currently going on in Saudi Arabia. I would say, like, in Saudi Arabia, there wasn't too many like cultural happenings in public space, and this is changing very rapidly. We came the first time in 2016, and was still like no female performers, and it felt very okay. You can't do this, you can't do that. Obviously, it's a different culture. But the festivals, it's what's happening after Ramadan. It's a 3 to 4 day event, and together with an Italian agency, we created a concept called Share on the Light as our philosophy, that brought both like male and female together in a both like stage show, but then also there was like street performances, and it felt that they are opening up so quickly to these arts. So I think Saudi Arabia, it's a very interesting spot. On the one hand, they invest heavily into performing arts and into public spaces, because maybe there has been such a deficit in this context. But I feel as well these are places where the arts can contribute a lot to a culture change, or actually to a change through these cultural activities. And last but not least, Sense of Unity. It's this co-creative show that we created with the World Leaders in Activate Performing Arts that we also partly showcasing here. The fun thing was, when we were meeting up to discuss about the show, it was the day when the election or the vote again or for Brexit was actually taking place. So while on the political side there's some tendencies of separation, we thought Sense of Unity might be the perfect title to show, at least on an artistic level, we want to foster this level of collaboration. And this show consists actually of 3 choreographed scenes, but also openness to fill them with local performers. So in Blackpool, there was an interaction with a dance school, and I think that's when it also becomes so interesting for us. First of all, like the fusion with a different musical setting, which is very interesting, but then also how can we engage the community in this context. And yeah, it's great to be here with Sense of Unity or with the world beaters together in Lyon and share the light here. So I won't show a video of the performance, but I hope you can catch us over the next 3 nights. The parts that we think are important if you want to bring the performing arts towards light festivals. I think it's not just the performance. There's a level beyond the performance. What I think it's the community integration. So what are the local resources? Because in the end, if we just come to a place, we do our show, we go home, I think there's something missing. I think there's something that is like a multiplicator for both groups. We can contribute so much more to the local community and leave even like a bigger impact. And on the other hand, we can also share more of our resources, of our knowledge, of our inspiration, if we can dive in a little bit deeper and exchange more. So community integration is one part to see what are the resources of the local community and how could we possibly integrate this one. What we're also going to do in Lyon is workshops. So we work with youth because the puppetry that we're doing has also like somehow, in a way you could say, a healing effect. 5 persons moving one thing together. It's a bit like teamwork, and I think everybody is working in teams. So it's something that we want to share both with companies, but also with schools, because I think if we feel this level of connection, we can better move beyond. And another aspect that we think it's very interesting and very inspirational for us, bringing DUNDU into social context. That can be Tahrir Square, as we did in Cairo, but in Blackpool, for example, we visited a school, or sometimes we go to the cancer station and hospitals. So also bring light, bring hope towards places that might not have the chance to experience this. So how can we create this momentum of light? And as the whole forum is also about performing arts, I thought, let's put this in a little performance. And for performances, you always need a helping hand. So I have Jessica with me, and Jessica is going to do some bubbles for us. So the bubbles are representing, in a way, it's technology, it's somehow like the risk that we have to take, but it's also the different connection points. And sometimes we feel like, it might be too risky to invite this performance. Sometimes we feel like the performing arts, they do not really fit into the context because the festival has to run over 5 hours and they can only do 30 minutes. So what we have to do is we have to open ourselves up and get into a momentum. So right now we have some momentum, and then it's about like connecting the dots. I think that's what we all have to do to create the next level. And then, this one looks good. And then, let's see what we got. So that's the chance then to create like a holistic vision, because I think like if we connect these dots, if we say, okay, technology plus the human factor can create something new, then I think we're really creating the next level and creating these magical moments where we feel like the performing arts should be an integral part of all these light festivals. So, humans at the heart.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and the answer is co-creation. I call it sometimes this creative collisions, this fusion. So we have to open up ourselves to sometimes connect things that do not look good on the first hand, but also take the risk, take this step forward, and then I think the new can be created.